making some big plays with his receivers early in camp. Dontavian Wicks going up to get this one, and Hurts also followed Devontae Smith over the middle yesterday. Just the start of what could be a big year for the quarterback. Welcome into Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. Barrett Brooks, Ashlyn Sullivan here with you. We get it. It's only day 2 of training camp, but that was the catch of training camp so far.
Oh, I mean, come on. He went and got it. Number one, it was in the middle of the field, and we love that he's attacking the middle of the field, number one. But then he went up and got it, went and deboed it, and had people around him. That's all you want to receive, to go up there and show your quarterback, I'm going to go get whatever you throw. And then once he's confident, all right, if I'm throw it to him, I know he's going to catch it. Now he's going to play even better. I'll get the ball to you anytime you need me to get the ball to you. So they're building confidence right now. This is what has to happen in camp. We love it. You know, he hadn't played with Dontavian before. Now he's playing with him, and now they're getting that chemistry together. We need that.
You see that trust building with Dontavian Wicks, who has definitely stood out the first 2 days of training camp. And with more on Hurts and this new look offense, we send it across the street to John Clark. John, what have you thought the first 2 days of camp so far?
Well, a lot of learning going on. You were there, Ashlyn. We were talking to Dallas Goedert today, and he said in all his years here in Philly, this is the most new concepts for an Eagles offense that he has experienced going into a season. And, of course, the defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL over the last couple years, the defense says this new offense and the scheme is really helping them prepare for the season, because a lot of the teams that they're going to be facing, they use this new scheme in the NFL. So take a look. Of course, the new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has had a different play caller at the start of every single season in his NFL career here in Philly. And, of course, you've heard it. We're seeing Jalen Hurts under center most of the time. We've talked about the play action. And talking to Cooper DeJean, he says because of the way they're disguising things, it's even harder to tell whether it's going to be a run or a pass. It's harder for the defense to pick up run or pass with what the offensive line is doing with their movements and the movement in the backfield pre-snap and at the snap. So, of course, the running plays are going to be more exotic, a lot of new twists for the running game, and every single movement by each offensive player is very intentional, so the defense doesn't know what they are going to do. Jordan Mailata is impressed with the intricacy of this offense, and Jalen Hurts is very excited.
My goal is always to get hip to hip with the coach, build with the guys around me, and make the most of what we have. Competitively, at the end of the day, the goal is to go out there and win. So we got to prepare ourselves to be able to do that.
When you get to come out here, you run the plays, and you may not like understand it at the time. And then when you go through the meetings and he breaks down everything, like there's a purpose to everything in the play, and then you see it unfold and you see the defense like kind of confused. There's a lot more to it than you know, I guess I thought an offensive coordinator can bring to the table. And, yeah, I've just been blown away by that evil genius.
There he is with the evil genius once again. And what I really like sometimes is the tight formation. Sometimes you have trips and there's one player that will go in motion out of the tight formation. And I really do think out of that tight formation, especially with 3 players lined up, you can get lost. A guy like Mekhi Lemon, he can get lost, especially over the middle. And really what they want to do here is, of course, the run game is married to the pass game, but really don't let the defense know any tells as far as whether it's a run or a pass. And then, of course, the misdirection will work very well against defenses. When they start to see a play go one way, it's going to go the other way. So a lot of excitement about this new Eagles offense.
Rightfully so. It has looked excellent, really, the first 2 days of training camp. John, thanks so much. And now it is time for our 3-point stance, brought to you by Toyota. Stance number 1, you hear Jordan Mailata talk about the evil genius, Sean Mannion. Frankly, Barrett and I, we talk about this after the 2 training camp practices we've seen. We've been really pleasantly surprised how cohesive this offense has looked. We expected some bumps. We've seen a little bit, but the guys are re-energized. They're excited to run this offense. And really, it's been pretty mistake-free the first 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, there's little things like, you know, jumping off sides, things of that nature. But I am so surprised that they are ahead of the mark right now, because these guys know the offense. Now you understand this is camp. And all they've been doing for the past 2 days, well, past 3 days, is installing plays. They might install up to, 10, 15, 20 plays, a day. And these new plays you coming out, not everybody's going to get it. But I think the coaches have explained it so well to these players that they're out there running fast. You can kind of tell if a team does not know and understand the offense because you'll see them come off the ball kind of slow. You see wide receivers real slow in their routes. These guys are crisp. They're coming off the ball. They're playing fast. And they only play fast because they know what conceptually they are trying to accomplish on the offensive side of the ball. So that's exactly what I'm seeing out there. And it's making me feel good that they got these concepts. I talked to, Jordan Mailata, after he had spoke to everybody else. And he said the big thing is, I think it's more so Jalen doing what he's doing. He has been the captain of this ship, and he understands what they're doing. He's got the coach's brain, and they now understand how to run things through him because he is, getting everything going in that direction. He is being that linchpin to get everybody on the same page. So because of that, that's why they're playing a lot faster.
Right. You can see the confidence with Jalen Hurts staying away after practice to explain things to receivers. You can just tell he's taking ownership of this offense. Absolutely. As he should. All right, stance number 2 here. The Eagles have plenty at wide receiver without A.J. Brown. This was the massive question in the offseason. How are the Eagles going to do this without their star receiver? How are they going to replace him? But so far, pretty good. We saw that Dontavian Wicks catch at the start of the show. You have Devontae Smith, who's beaten Quinyon Mitchell both practices in one-on-one situations. Mekhi Lemon getting a little lost in the sauce here, but Wicks especially has stood out.
No question. And I like this. I'm not kind of, looking at this. There is a flavor for whatever you savor in this offense with these wide receivers. And I love the fact, you got Devontae Smith. He's the guy. He's going to be the person they're going to look to. He's going to be the lead dog. But then you have Dontavian Wicks. He brings a special skill set because he's one of those guys that go in the middle of the field, go up there and catch and high. You saw high point the ball and bring it down. He's going to be those guys third and keep those posts, keep the posts going. He's going to get those third downs. Then you got number 3. You got rookie, Mekhi Lemon. And he's going to put him in the slot. He'll get lost in the middle of those defenders, and that's where he's going to make an impact just to start off, being that slot receiver, controlling the middle of that field, and being a, guy that can get open and really, help those other 2 on the outside. Then, 4, you got your deep ball with Hollywood Brown. He can take the top off the defense. But then, from that point on, what do you want? You got a guy that's a red zone threat that can go up at 6'6", 220 pounds, and Johnny Wilson? Or do you want a guy that's going to go out there and be stable, be that, that guy to come in and get those tough yardage, catch the tough balls, slants and things of that nature, and Darius Cooper? So are they going to keep 6 or are they going to keep 5? But, hey, it's a great competition with all those guys within that locker room. And I love the fact that you can pick whatever you want and they can go out there and make it happen.
It's so true. You do have a flavor for every single guy. Even Elijah Moore has stood out the first 2
Exactly, yes.
That last receiver spot is always so interesting who they pick every single year. Stance number 3. This could be Vic Fangio's best defense yet. Now, we should note that Fangio said today he expects Jonathan Grenard to miss a large portion of training camp with that pec strain. Vic Fangio will always set you straight. He will spit the honest facts. Right. Back in 2024, the Eagles led the league in yards allowed and were a second in points allowed. This was a really good defense, and maybe, just maybe, it could be even better this year.
I think it can. I already know, the 11 starters, hey, they're going to be great. But I see the real competition with the guys trying to be second team. When you look at it, every single position really has a healthy competition. You look at that right there. I'm looking at Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Arnold Ebiketie, A.J. Epineza. Who's going to be those guys to come in and have the lion's share of the reps that he's not there? Who's going to be that pass rusher? Who's going to stand out and make this squad? Because it's not, granted, all 4 of these guys will make the squad. Then you go look at the defensive tackle. You got Moro Joma, Young. You got Hall. You got Robinson. Robinson's, hey, he's a draft pick, but he's got to get it going, Look at the linebackers. Smile Munden. You got Trot Jr. You got Chance Campbell. All these competitive places in which you have to, guys fighting for that second team guy to make the squad. I love that because when the competition with the starters is already there, they're going to be starters. But then you got backups that are trying to compete just to be backups. That's when you have a great squad.
That is so true, and it's different from last year. You have Trot Jr. at linebacker. You have Carter with the secondaries. These are guys that could be starters possibly on other
Absolutely,
teams, and
yes.
They are backups right now with the Eagles.
Obviously, the Sixers had a great sequence there because it wouldn't have happened without Brown getting here. But it still wasn't the greatest signing or acquisition in Philadelphia sports history. Who knows what it is?
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
Back here.
There you go. There you go. Not even close, but, you know, if you were born after 1970, you wouldn't have known about it. So that includes most everybody then.
John Clark got the answer right, actually. In the very back row there with Vic Fangio's press conference, that was Vic Fangio's take on the acquisition of LeBron James and the Sixers offseason, but saying it's not as big as the Phillies landing Pete Rose, who got them over the World Series hump in 1980. With more on what the defensive coordinator had to say and how this defense has been looking, here is Dave Zangaro and Ruben Frank.
Rube, day 2 of training camp began with one of our favorite things, a Vic Fangio press conference. Vic is always honest, and he has a pretty good defense this year.
He does. I mean, they're loaded, and they have superstars at every position other than safety. He talked about safety a little bit. I think that's the one battle on defense that's probably most compelling going into this summer, going into this training camp. Where does Marcus Epps fit in? Where does Drew Makuba, the second-year safety, fit in? And where does Michael Carter fit in as a converted corner or a corner who's playing some safety? He said it's a competition. Epps is going to be the first guy in there. We've seen that, but he said nothing's etched in stone, and somebody's going to have to win that job.
Yeah, the only guy not on the field for that defense right now, Jonathan Grenard. He strained his pec leading up to training camp. Howie Roseman said nothing to be worried about. Vic Fangio made it seem a little more serious than that. I guess maybe it might be somewhere in between.
Yeah, and Vic is going to shoot you straight. He said he's going to miss a good chunk of camp. And look, this is a new team for him. He's a veteran. He's played a lot of football, played a lot of good football, but this is a new scheme. He's going to be doing some different things here that he didn't do with Houston or the Vikings, and he's going to miss this time. And Vic made it clear that the sooner he gets back, the better it is. He's a veteran, but he needs to be out here.
Yeah, even without him, though, so far, I think the defense has looked very good. They've gotten pressure up front. I think Jay Lixon, even Nolan Smith is off to a good start as well. And I think it really benefits this defense seeing a new offense. I think so much is focused on this offense and all the motions they're doing, all the eye candy that they present. That's going to help the defense because they're going to see that a lot this season.
Yeah, it's an offense that the Eagles defense has really actually struggled with at times. So to be out, it's almost like having joint practices with yourself, being out here. They're getting to look at a different offense that they're going to see a lot because it's becoming more and more prevalent, not just here but around the league. So getting these reps in, getting this work, and against that offense, the Shanahan scheme, the McVay scheme is going to pay off down the line, certainly.
Yeah, everyone talks about eye discipline. That's the biggest thing. You can't get lost in the sauce, so to speak. And with this defense, I don't know if that's a big concern. They are very talented. They have Vic Fangio back for year 3. The expectations are pretty high.
Yes, they are, guys. Now it's time to play Believe It or Not. I throw a statement at Barrett, and he tells me if he believes it or not. It's pretty easy. First up, believe it or not, Marcus Epps will lock down the other starting safety spot opposite Andrew Makuba.
I believe it. I believe it since I saw the last game he played against San Fran, that he walked in and showed that he can command this defense. He could be that guy that can come in and play in the box and play back deep. I think Epps has the best upside right now of playing that safety opposite Makuba, so I think he will be the guy to be started this year.
And it's definitely seen with Vic Fangio the confidence that he had in Marcus Epps, that he was more of a veteran presence on the field. And Vic will basically tell you exactly who the starters are going to be.
Yeah, he'll tell you too much almost.
And he mentioned Marcus Epps. So we can go ahead and assure that. Next up, Vic Fangio also said today that he hopes Howie Roseman saves some money for Moro Ojomo, who is set to become a free agent. So believe it or not, Moro Ojomo will be back with the Eagles after this season.
Oh, man. I mean, you know you're supposed to pay your homegrown talent, man, but at this point we've got a lot of money invested in that one position. You know, 2 guys are making, a lot of money. So Moro Ojomo, no matter how talented he is, how smart he is, how good of a player he's been, he might be a casualty of the success this team has had drafting. He's going to be one of those guys that might have to go out like a Milton Williams or, Jalen Phillips or Sweat, one of those guys. So at this point, he deserves to stay here, but will they have the money to pay another guy at that position? I don't think so.
Yeah, he deserves the contract. Just the question of where is it going to
Definitely deserves the contract.
All right, finally, Barrett, your former teammate, Eagles Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins, was in the house today watching practice, and he still legitimately looks like he could be practicing out there. Believe it or not, Brian Dawkins could still play in the NFL.
I spoke with Dawkins. I was like, B-Dog, man, you look like you still play. You know what? He's on around and said, hey, man, I'll tell you what. If it's just one play and we're in a goal line situation and all I have to do is blitz, I'll make that play and go out, with a bang. You know what I'm saying? I'll make that play, but just one play. I say, you know what? You're absolutely right. I mean, look at him. I mean, if you look at this point, a lot of guys that are playing are like, who the heck is this guy? I mean, all ripped up and yoked up like he might be able to play a little bit of Will linebacker to how yoked up he is, so progression, he could play. He could definitely play.
We saw him there with Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen was saying how cool it was to be able to talk to Brian Dawkins. And you see, Reek Woolen there is 6'4", and you saw B-Doc there, right there with him. That puts it into perspective.